First overall pick, I think it's a no-brainer that the Washington Wizards take AJ DeBonsa, easily the best prospect in this draft, in my opinion. He has no injury concerns. He has great motor. He has a great frame at 6'9". He is probably the best scoring prospect we have ever seen besides Kevin Durant. He can score pretty well at all three levels. His three-point shot is a little iffy. You do hope he can continue to develop that and play a little bit better with three-point shooting in the next level in the NBA. But still a fantastic driver, mid-range shot, can draw free throws really well. He has insane drive, insane one. He continually talks about his work ethic and how he wants to be, and you can see it on the court that he plays with a lot of effort. Defensively, there's a lot to desire. He doesn't play as well defensively as you would expect from someone with this type of frame, but I do think a lot of that is due to his offensive load that he did take while playing at BYU. He had a lot of teammates who were injured, and offensively, he was kind of carrying them on their back and carrying the whole team on his back. You saw it in the Texas game in March Madness where they literally said, "How are you?" They asked the Texas team head coach, "How are you going to planning on stopping AJ DeBonsa?" And they said, "We can't." And that's insane. They didn't even give a game plan. They just said, "We can't do it. We just got to hope no one else does anything." And that really shows what type of player he is. And on the Washington Wizards, I think he fits perfectly alongside an offensive player like Trae Young. And I think you can bring some of that defensive upside out of AJ DeBonsa when you play him alongside a lot of offensive players, and you can take that load will not be as high as it was on BYU. And I think he can show what that frame and what that drive and motor can do on the defensive end of the ball as well. With the number 2 overall pick, I think it's a clear choice to select Darren Peterson here. I think he fits right perfectly with this Utah team. There's been a lot of talk about moving up and trying to acquire AJ DeBonsa. I don't really like the fit. I mean, you're going to have to play him behind Larry Markkinen unless you plan on playing him ahead of him. I don't think there's a lot of good fit there. I think Darren Peterson fits perfectly. He can play some great perimeter defense alongside Keontae George, who often makes perimeter mistakes. He is a very, very, very great scorer. He can shoot the ball at a very high level. I mean, the one thing that you've definitely seen from him all year long is he's the biggest tough shot maker in the league for college basketball. He was getting compared to Kobe Bryant for a reason because he you don't even see contests when you're Darren Peterson. All the contests just look like it's open shots to him. He can hit very tough shots, and he showed that in college. He didn't show a lot of the passing feel that you want him to. He was debated as a point guard or a shooting guard at the beginning of the season, but I think he's shown that he's completely a shooting guard now. He makes shots. He's facilitating is not definitely something that you really see too much of. He did it a lot in high school. I didn't watch a lot of high school basketball, but there might be some potential upside there. But as a perimeter defender and a scorer, he's one of the best. And the only concern with me is his motor. I do see a lot of lack of drive and want and need that is coming from Darren Peterson. And I do view him in a kind of similar way that I view DeAndre Ayton. I think that he could potentially have the highest bust potential out of any of these top 4 players in this draft. Darren Peterson is not like you've seen it from him. It does feel like he's lacking a lot of emotion and drive, but he could also be a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who we've constantly seen, who obviously has drive. We've seen it on the court, but he doesn't really show it in his words or expressions. And I'm hoping that is the case because he does have a lot of upside. I don't think he'll be a full-on bust. I'm not sure if he'll ever rise to the occasion as a superstar type of player in this league, just due to lack of want or need. And I really do hope that he does turn out to be a superstar type of player because he does have such great potential. And if we saw another Kobe Bryant in the league, that would be awesome. The number 3 overall pick is the Memphis Grizzlies, and I think this is a no-brainer. Cameron Boozer. This is a great way to kick off the rebuild. It looks like they're possibly going to be dishing out Ja. They already got rid of Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bain, so we're looking at a new rebuild and retooling of this team. And I think Cam Boozer alongside Zach Edey could be a really, really good front court for the future. I mean, having a player who can make up for a lot of the interior defensive flaws that Cam Boozer does have, and Zach Edey with all that size that he has, and someone who can space the floor at the 4 position, Cameron Boozer, who can shoot really well, play make really well. He could be a number 1 option in the future on a championship roster. I do believe that in him. His interior defense right now is not the best, but he does have really active hands, can get in passing lanes and generate steals. So he still is not a defensive liability, and he does have a really solid wingspan and measurables. So there is potential in the future for him being a possible solid interior defender and not at least a liability on that section of the court. His athleticism isn't the best. He could definitely condition that and get better at that, but he does have so much strength and driving force to his game that I think even in the next level, he'll be able to bully a lot of players how he did in college, which is definitely something that people are skeptical about because a lot of his game does involve physicality. And, physicality is a lot deeper in the NBA with all these people being grown men. He was going against teenagers and people in their 20s, and now is a little bit different in this league. but I do think he can still continue that with his size and strength that we've really never really seen a player dominate at such a high level like this in the college before. I think he's very entertaining, very interesting, and I think he could be coming out as the best player in this draft. And he's my personal pick for Rookie of the Year. He can do it all, pass and run the show just as much as anyone else in this draft. Chicago Bulls with the number 4 overall pick. I think this is amazing for them. They're finally out of that purgatory of picking at the late lottery or just, they've just been in play in. They finally tanked for once and it paid off because they jumped up to get the number 4 overall pick. And Caleb Wilson is probably one of my favorite players in this draft. And it's a no brainer for the Chicago Bulls. It fits the mantra of their new executive. And it's definitely something that really fits this team. And alongside Mas Bazilis, this is probably going to be one of the most entertaining front court forward core that we've seen in the NBA. Montes Buzelis and Caleb Wilson will be absolutely insanely fun to watch. He looks like a Kevin Garnett light. He has such great defensive instincts. He can really score well around the post and mid-range game. He could potentially in the future be a low volume, knockdown, three-point shooter out from the outside. He does have really great touch and feel. He shoots well at the free throw line. He has great mid-range shot. He has great touch around the rim. So I think there is potential for him to be a at least slightly above 30% three-point shooter in the league, which is definitely very valuable when you are a big and you have the chance to space the floor. Overall, he's one of my favorite players in this draft. Probably the best rim protector in this draft. Definitely do see a lot of comparisons between him and Kevin Garnett. And overall, this is a great way to kick off the rebuild for Chicago, and they could definitely make some noise. They haven't really wanted to be there in a while, but they could potentially be in a play-in spot with Josh Giddey, Caleb Wilson, and a year 3 Modest Pozelis. So it's going to be very entertaining to see how this all works out. And Caleb Wilson is the perfect guy for them to kick this off. Number 5, the Los Angeles Clippers. Definitely a weird pick for them. A lot of people have been making very much different choices. This is where the draft really starts because outside of the top 4 guys, it kind of gets very guard heavy, and you can kind of take and pick and who you choose feel that fits the most. And a lot of people have been picking Keaton Wagler for this pick. I am not one of those people. I'm going to take Kingston Flemings here. The reason I don't want Keaton Wagler here is because Keaton Wagler is a fantastic offensive player. He plays the 2 guard position, which is different, which is definitely something that you need rather than a point guard because you already have a point guard in Darius Garland. But Keaton Wagler, while he's a shooting guard, the only reason you don't want another guard alongside Darius Garland is because of the defensive liability. And Keaton Wagler is just as much a defensive liability as Darius Garland is almost. And he does have size, but he's very thin framed and not very athletic. And I think the better pick here is Kingston Flemings. Kingston Flemings, even though he is measured as a very small guard, he's 6'2" with like a 6'2" wingspan. He is built like Steph Curry. He has still great effort on the perimeter defensive end. He has a great athleticism, and I think he could pair alongside Darius Garland better than Keaton Wagler. He has a great mid-range shot. He has a great three-point shot. He can drive downhill with his athleticism. He can play make as a secondary playmaker. He doesn't need to run the show. He can play off the ball a little bit. I think he plays a lot better alongside Darius Garland, and he does have a lot of upside as the number 1 option potentially in this league, an all-star level player potentially in this league. And I think we don't need to think about how positional fit for this team. I think we need to take Kingston Flemings here because he has a lot of upside as a perimeter defender and could play the 2 guard and guard very well alongside Darius Garland. This sucks for the Brooklyn Nets. You didn't really want to drop out of the top 4, especially in this draft class, but this draft class is still so stacked. You can still pick a phenomenal player here, and I think Darius Acuff is the perfect guy for the Brooklyn Nets to pick. I mean, to talk about a guy with so much offensive potential, probably the best offensive player in this draft, to be honest. If it wasn't for his defensive liability, I think he could definitely be a number 1 pick. I mean, if Darius Acuff was a good defender, a good perimeter defender, I think he would go number 1 in this draft because of how good his offense is. He can shoot and score at all levels on the whole court. He has great passing feel. He sets the offense really well, and he has such a high ceiling. Um, Compared often to players like Tyrese Maxey, Shea, and Allen Iverson. Like I've heard so many different great smaller scorers with a lot of athleticism be compared to Darius Acuff because that's how talented he is. I think he's perfect player for these Nets teams to take because while they did draft a lot of guards last season, a lot of them are standing out. And I think Darius Acuff can come in here and he could definitely make his own case for Rookie of the Year because he's going to put up the numbers. They have no one else besides Michael Porter Jr. who's taken up a lot of shots for this team. Darius Acuff can come out here and score relentlessly, set up the offense, put up those counting numbers, and shoot at a decent clip, I believe, and a decent percentage, and definitely come out here and make some noise for Rookie of the Year. And it's going to have a lot of people questioning why they didn't take him earlier in the draft. I think he could be definitely one of those guys where that you get a lot of great value here at number 6 on the draft board, and a perfect pick for the Nets. I'm even more sorry for the Kings picking at number 7. This is definitely not good for their team. Their team has ran awfully. They definitely needed a great staple pick that will be solid no matter what, because they seem to make up and mess up all types of decisions that they ever make. But I think Keen Wagler is a good guy to take here. You don't really have to worry about positional things. You just want to take the best player available, and I think Keen Wagler is that. Keen Wagler offensively has been compared to Tyrese Halliburton. He has really solid shooting. He took Illinois to the Big Four. He's so very good at shooting. He doesn't create a lot of space, but he does make tough shots, and he plays at his own pace. He doesn't get sped up very often, and that's a valuable thing to see. And it's very Tyrese Halliburton-esque. He is a defensive liability, but that's something you can definitely work around and build around when you're not trying to. He's getting drafted by a team that's not trying to compete right away. I think this could be a staple guy for the future. I think I'm not sure if I would see him as a number one option, but he does have great passing feel and offensive feel. He could definitely be at least a good number 2 on a team, and I think this is a great staple for the Kings moving forward to have a player like him. His athleticism is definitely not there. The upside you're looking for here is his potential to run an offense and shoot at a very high level, and I think that's something that he can give you right from the jump and show you that he is the right choice for number 7 here. The Atlanta Hawks picking at number 8 here. Such a great pickup for them, making that trade last year, and they really, really got a great pick here. Mikal Brown Jr., I think, perfectly fits this Atlanta offense. I really do think they should go guard here. A lot of people have talked about them making a reach and getting a Daymar here. While I am not mad at them at getting the Daymar, I think this is a little too high for him. Number 8 is a little outside of his range. And I do think Mikal Brown Jr. is someone that they really need. I think we saw it in the postseason that Jalen Johnson does lack in half court offense, and they need someone else who can facilitate and create open shots for others while also getting their own buckets in the half court. And I think CJ McCollum is definitely not that guy for the future. He is aging. He was looking like he was going to retire soon until he went to the Hawks, and then he gave a drink from the fountain of youth, and he came out here and scored a bunch for them in the postseason. But regardless, Mikal Brown Jr. is definitely one of the most interesting players in this draft. He has so much upside. He has had a lot of injury concerns, but if his physicals check out, he'll look great. He's a guy who can facilitate, shoot a lot of threes. He's going to come in here and do a lot of stuff that Trae Young used to do, but he's at a larger side and less able to be picked on. He's not going to be like, he's going to play slightly different and not exactly the same, but he's going to be doing a lot of the same stuff. And I think he can do it at a higher level potentially, and he could be less of a defensive liability. He's a really, really solid facilitator, shooter, and everything you kind of really needed in this postseason run that the Atlanta Hawks were going on. And I think it's overall just a perfect fit for the Atlanta Hawks. I think they going big is not something that they should be worrying about right now in this section of the draft, unless they want to draft the trade down and then draft at a later pick while also getting some other assets. The Dallas Mavericks starting off this rebuild great. They're picking up Cooper Flag, and now next year they're getting a number 9 pick here. And I think the perfect guy to slot in alongside Cooper Flag is Braden Burries. He can play off of him really well. He doesn't have to be a main ball handler. They have a Ryan Nemhard along with them, and Cooper Flag can also facilitate the ball and be a main ball handler for this team. Braden Burries can just do what he does best, which is score the ball. A lot of this guy gets is a lot of Jamal Murray player comps. He's a great scorer, great shooter. He can score at all levels. He can just be a solid player and play exactly how his position needs to be. He won't be at the top of the scouting report. Cooper Flag will be there. And overall, he'll just be able to play really, really well alongside Cooper. He can take a secondary ball handling, tertiary ball handling role and dish out a little bit, but he still brings his main value, which is the 3-point shot, mid-range shot, driving to the basket, and getting some offensive punch for this team, which is exactly what they needed. They need someone else who has the ability to bring the ball up to the floor, a ball up the court, and make something happen for this team. The Milwaukee Bucks are in a weird spot. I'm making this pick assuming that Giannis is going to be traded. There's been a lot of buzz, and it seems like really solidified that Giannis is getting traded. And I think they should take a high upside player in Nate Ament, a big forward who can facilitate and shoot like a guard. He had a late growth spurt. He's still trying to figure out his frame. He's very much of a developmental project. He didn't shoot very well in college, but he's still figuring out how to use his body, like I said. And that's something that the Bucks definitely have something in common with. They drafted Giannis, who was a skinny guy from Greece, and they helped him build up a lot of the muscle that he has, and then really show his dominant frame and be able to dominate out there in the court. And I think Nate Ament could be a player who could definitely use beefing up on his frame and learning how to use his body. But the great thing is he also does have good shooting upside because he is a scorer. He plays like a guard. He can facilitate the ball, and he plays a lot similar to Giannis, but with a jump shot, which is definitely something you want to see. I would say I would compare him more to a Jalen Johnson type of player if I were to expect him as his like ceiling. But that's a phenomenal player to get at the number 10 spot, someone who could potentially be an all-star in this league. He is a project, and I think it's perfect for him to fit alongside Ryan Rollins and potentially Kevin Porter Jr. And that's a great way to kick off their rebuild. And eventually they could get something else as well because, you're trading Giannis, you're going to get a lot of other young assets probably and a lot of other future draft capital. So I think Nate Amena is definitely a good project player for them to have under their roster and develop it to potentially have more contention in the future. The Warriors picking at number 11. Definitely not a spot you want to see them in. They want to be contenders. They want to be playoff performers. They don't want to be in the lottery again and miss the playoffs. But there's a great chance to pick up someone nice here. I've seen a lot of people pick a Daymara for this spot. I'm not one of those guys. Sadly, Warrior fans, I know you guys don't like it, but I think they should take a guard here. LeBaron Philon Jr. is a wonderful, wonderful high IQ offensive player. I've been oftenly compared to a larger Mike Conley. He shot it so well in college. He can facilitate the ball at such a high level, and you saw it throughout all of March Madness. He was really keeping his team alive and keeping them going with an offensive spark. And overall, I think he could be a great ball handler alongside Steph Curry and help him facilitate and get better open looks on the 3-point line for him and his teammates. And I know they want to go big, but I think there is really a solid chance that they re-sign Kristaps Porzingis in the offseason and keep him as their main big man. And LeBaron Philon is definitely someone they need because we saw when Steph Curry was out the season that the Warriors really needed someone who could play and facilitate the ball and give them offensive punch, which they really didn't have without Steph Curry. I mean, if you have Draymond Green as your main offensive player, that's definitely not something you want to see. I mean, he facilitates the ball decently in his prime, but nowadays Draymond Green is not very good offensively. You mostly have him for the defense and just overall team chemistry. And LeBaron Philon could definitely come out here and give them some juice. At number 12, OKC is picking, and the rich just get richer. I mean, this is a great spot for them. They can pick up a player who I really think fits well with this team is Yaxel Lenenborg, who is a phenomenal college basketball player. Really looks like a man amongst boys out there. He could use his physicality well. He's a do-it-all type of player, and I think he could give OKC a really great look. OKC is usually used to using these small ball lineups with like Cason Wallace, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, and Shea, and then you have one of the centers, which is still a phenomenal lineup. They're close to being back-to-back champions, and they have a possibly back-to-back MVP on their team. They're in a great spot no matter what. But regardless, giving them another offensive and defensive look and having a larger guy coming off the bench in Yaxel Lenenborg. They did pick up Thomas Sorber, who was expected to play next year, but Yaxel Lenenborg is a guy who could play now. He's 24 years old, well, definitely the oldest rookie in this draft class. He's NBA ready. He's one of the most NBA ready players in this draft, and he could definitely come off OKC's bench and give them a different look. I mean, we saw it in the playoffs against the Lakers that LeBron was giving them a lot of trouble because they don't really have a lot of big bodies who can come out here and guard LeBron. And definitely getting Yaxel Lenenberg on a decent small rookie scale contract would be perfect for them. And he could give them just different looks. And I think he could take a lot of offensive, burden off of Shea and a lot of the other creators and AJ Mitchell and J Dub. And he can come out here, facilitate, and score at a high level. I think it's going to be interesting to see him not be a number one guy, but I think he can definitely fit into that role and be a versatile winner in this league. Miami Heat picking at number 13. This is a very hot take of mine. I do believe in Bennett Sturts. He is a senior. He's going to be like 22 or 23 at the beginning of the next season. But I do believe in his 3-point shot and facilitating. I think Miami really needs an offensive punch on their team. We saw last year that they didn't even make the playoffs. They're not really running a real point guard on their team. They're running Tyler Hero and Norman Powell, who are great offensive players, but I think they do need another extra offensive punch along with their team. Bam Adebayo seems progressively each year getting worse and worse on the offensive side of the ball. He's taking more and more jump shots, and I think having Bennett Sturts on this team as a facilitator, a pick and roll player, someone who can shoot the three ball at a really high level alongside Tyler Hero, can play off ball a little bit and be a part of that creation that Tyler Hero also provides. I think they could give a really solid offensive punch and someone who could definitely compete now, which is something that Miami is always looking for. If this pick is not traded, I think Bennett Sturts is a really great, solid pick for them. And no matter what with Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware as your back end defenders, you're always going to be a solid defense. So I don't think you have to really worry too much about Bennett Sturts' defensive liability. And I really do like Bennett Sturts, and I think he'll be a great player on this team. Picking at number 14, the Charlotte Hornets, a team that was so very close to making the playoffs. They showed us in the second half of the season that they really are an offensive engine, and they are here and they are coming for the future. Concanipple, Brandon Miller, and LaMelo Ball all coming out here and showing how great of an offensive trio they are. I think it'd be perfect to add a Daymara into this mix and have him as a facilitating big man. A Daymara is really great passing feel for a big. He is standing at 7'3", NCAA champion. He has great interior defense. I mean, his overall standing reach and wingspan and everything is absolutely phenomenal. And something that this Charlotte Hornets team did lack, and you saw it when they go against the Magic, is physicality and size. And a Damar could definitely bring the size, and he could definitely work on building his strength and building up that physicality that he could potentially have. I don't know exactly what his ceiling is in the NBA, but a Damara is someone who could pass, play around the post, score really well around there. He's going to be bigger than majority of people. A lot of the things he did around college where he was bullying smaller defenders, he can still do that here because there's still going to be a lot of teams that are running small ball lineups or just centers that aren't as big as him that he could move around. And playing along, he can rebound at a really high level, get offensive rebounds, and with his passing, he can definitely just pass out and kick out to other players. I think a Daymar is a perfect pick to take here. That's concluding the NBA lottery mock draft. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and subscribe if you did. And I just want to give my prayers and thoughts out to Brandon Clark and everyone in his family and teammates and just the whole Memphis Grizzlies organization. It's a tragedy to lose someone so young at the age of 29, and I really pray that everyone out there is handling as well as they're able to, and I pray for the future of their franchise and family.